because psychology is everything. Communication, connections with other people is psychology, but also we behave differently on different platforms. So as I was present on different social media platforms for my blog, for fun, I started learning and going, oh, this is different. Like, I come there with a different mindset, what people want from this platform. So I think merging all of that and also doing it for yourself, I that's why I'm so passionate with working with people who are individuals, solopreneurs or early stage entrepreneurs. I also worked in the past with a lot of high level executives. So people who want maybe a next step in a career or non-exec opportunities, and they come to a place when they go, actually, I need to now present myself in the right way. Because there is element of how do I do it and work and do everything else and have a life, but maintain online communication, because it requires commitment, volume, and consistency.
Talking with the experts.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com, and Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners. And you can find Talking with the Experts on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. And today my guest is Ewa. And I'm not even going to try and say her last name because otherwise I'll just muck it up. But Ewa is a personal brand communications specialist with a passion for helping solopreneurs and service providers leverage their personal brand online to create business and personal success. Having a personal brand isn't nice to have anymore. If you don't want to be left behind, it's a necessity. When you manage your online presence with purpose, you develop a powerful persona brand. She combines personal brand expertise and communication knowledge. Her work is underpinned by her empathetic nature and interest in behavioural psychology. She merges all of that to create a unique approach that helps you build your personal brand online. She's done it for others and she's done it for herself, and she knows how to teach it to others. Welcome, Ewa.
Welcome very much. I'm so happy to be here. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, your business is called You and Eve. So
That's right.
That's a really unique name, You and Eve. Yes.
Yes, we've been actually came up with the name together with my really close friend over some Thai. Restaurant coming up with it. So I was like, I really wanted it because it's such a personal approach. I really wanted to be about others and me. So that's kind of how it kind of came about.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about your journey. So how did you start You and Eve?
Okay. So it's really, really crazy because I think because of what I do, I think I kind of need to rewind many years back, pretty much to my university's degrees, which were in the early stage of my career. I think I thought it was like wasted time. So I did a degree in communication. I studied journalism and PR, and so a lot of it was communication. But you have to remember that when I graduated, there was no even blogs out there. So communication was a very different, it was more traditional forms, journalism and press and so on, and TV. And I've done both. I've done TV as well, and I've been in TV on both sorts of camera. And later I did also politics. I studied politics, I did masters, and I specialized in political marketing, which political marketing isn't really anything else that personal branding just for politicians. It's about how you use verbal and non-verbal communication, how you use marketing techniques to influence political arena. And that's again, this shows my age, right? That's again really the time when personal branding as it is now didn't exist, because again, we didn't have media and we didn't use those media in the same format and capacity that we use today. So really that was only useful for people who would have public presence. So very often politicians or high profile individuals who would be viewed on a television and press. But a lot has changed in the last 10 years. And suddenly personal branding is starting to become a word that people are more accustomed with. And they go, should I have one? And the answer is absolutely yes, because you're not competing anymore with few people from your own city who might be doing the same thing. You're competing with the entire world, because there is so much we can do over internet. And so the competition is a lot higher. And so if you want to progress in your career and that impacts your personal life, I always say business is personal, because you do it very often for personal reasons, then you must have it. So it's only as the world started changing, I started realizing, hang on a second, I actually know how to do it all. And I know it because it's the same principles. These are the same skills that you need to have. You have to work with it in the same way. And I've been running a personal blog outside of what I'm talking about business-wise for over a decade now. So I started a blog, personal blog, when you had to explain to people what does it mean to be a blogger and what does it mean that you have a page on the internet. Literally, we're going back that long ago. So that really taught me, and I've been obsessing for that decade about digital forms of communication, because communicating digitally is very different to communicating in the print press. You have to be quicker, you have to be faster, you have to be clear. And as devices changed, and then as different platforms, you had to adapt that. And I think the other element that really helped me, other than my sort of background and education where I came from, was also interest in behavioral psychology, because psychology is everything. Communication, connections with other people is psychology, but also we behave differently on different platforms. So as I was present on different social media platforms for my blog, for fun, I started learning and going, oh, this is different. Like, I come there with a different mindset, what people want from this platform. So I think merging all of that and also doing it for yourself, I that's why I'm so passionate with working with people who are individuals, solopreneurs or early stage entrepreneurs. I also worked in the past with a lot of high level executives, so people who want maybe a next step in a career or non-exec opportunities, and they come to a place when they go, actually, I need to now present myself in the right way. Because there is element of how do I do it and work and do everything else and have a life, but maintain online communication, because it requires commitment, volume, and consistency. And so how do you do it? And I think having done it for myself, both for the blog, but also for my past businesses and current business, I feel them. I understand the pain. And I use both a little bit of psychology and systems to help them with it. But it all starts with understanding what they need to be communicating in the first place.
Yeah. And
Hope
that's
that
not always easy. And that isn't always easy. You know, you've got an idea, but sometimes putting it down is, can be quite challenging.
Yeah, I think even looking at my own example, I would say it's still a lot harder doing it for yourself, because you're so much in it. You sometimes, I always say that the success is being able to look through the eyes of the consumer. And when you're so much in it, you forget what it's like not to know the basics sometimes. And so I worked with coach, and even if it's maybe not necessarily the same area of expertise, but different actually, where I'm not so good at, to have a different perspective, to move my business forward faster it, and it's been, I can't imagine doing any other way. So, but even with my business, I went through sort of, I go actually quite regularly through the process of looking back. Is my ideal client still the same? How my program, how my product will change? Where do I want to be in 10 years time? Because we can, like, I can look back and, hardly Facebook was around 10 years ago. Like, could anyone imagine life without Facebook, advertising without Facebook? Do you know what I mean? So much changes, and you have to be prepared for those changes. So you have to adjust sometimes your positioning, because personal branding isn't really about being something you're not. It's actually about bringing your most authentic self and communicating to those people who want and need you. So it's about communicating your value and letting people know what value you bring and how you are different from the competition. And for this, it starts actually with homework. So when it comes to communication, particularly individuals, because when it's a business, you've got a group of experts, it's easier to get the process right. But there is this great saying, and I think it's something that destroys some new businesses or individuals trying to freelancers, sometimes stops them from achieving that next step in their career. It's not what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that isn't so.
That's a good saying.
And I quote it here because it's very powerful when it comes to social media. Because today your PR and your marketing and your 2-page spread in a newspaper is social media. These are those different platforms. These are blogs that you publish on your website, blogs that you publish somewhere else, interviews you give, anything that is your publicity today. But it's so easy to write a post and press enter and publish it that we don't think. I saw companies, early stage startups, where content will be given to the least experienced, the cheapest person in the room. If I told you today that I can give you 2-page spread in The Economist, would you look for the cheapest and the less experienced person in your company to write that spread? If I tell you you can have 2 pages about your company, but you have to write it yourself because my journalists are busy, you wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't. No. If I had to do that, I would get someone else to. I mean, I would write it and then I'd give it to somebody else to go over.
People do it for all the online presence, and then they're surprised that they have no results offline.
Yeah, no, it's. I guess people just don't think that. They just think, oh yes, I can write whatever it is that they need to write, and you're right, they just press enter, but they don't think of the consequences afterwards. That they could be doing themselves a disservice.
Yeah, and I think I remember 10 years ago when I started writing, and I wrote my blog. And you have to remember, I'm dyslexic, so that was also one of the reasons why I started my blog, because I felt worse, and I went, why someone would want to employ me if I'm dyslexic, if I make spelling mistakes and I can't see them. Today we've got great software, specific software that normal spell check. People go, that she's spell check. Yes, but spell check is not going to tell me that I spelled weather is fry instead of weather is dry. I will not see this. And spell check will not correct that because fry is an existing word. So you have to have a very specific software that will say, it seems like this word doesn't fit in the context. Did you mean? Right? But if you're not dyslexic, you very often just can't understand the struggle.
Yeah, no, I've got quite a lot of friends that are dyslexic, and they are quite challenged with writing things, and I need to remember, because I'm a bit of a grammar Nazi, and I just I have to pull myself up from commenting that they've made an error, whether it's a spelling error or grammatical error or whatever, because I don't want them to feel any worse than they already do.
Yeah, and writing always used to come easily to me, but regardless, I spent 10 years and I felt so rubbish. I felt really bad at it. So I obsessively read books, practiced. Like I think the biggest service that my blog or writing content, no matter how lighthearted it was, gave me was the practice, the hours and years of practice of writing, reading books, trying to make small improvements little by little. And you have to remember, English is my second language as well. And I actually work now in English. I would not be able to work in my mother tongue. I don't have the same feel for words as I do in English. There's no way I could do my job in my native language at all, which is crazy. But I never have done it. And actually, professionally, I always started working in English. So as soon as I graduated universities, I always worked in English. And actually, even to do my dissertation, this was quite a funny story because political marketing was still quite a new thing. I remember friends trying to get hold of some books in America, and I was trying to get research from those books because America was kind of a little bit ahead through all the other countries with this approach. So it's such a journey when you sometimes look where we all get to. What I'm trying to say, communication takes a lot of work. You can make it faster, you can make it clear, quicker if you either work with someone or you get hold of the right resources. I suppose the problem is there's a lot of steps that you can do to communicate better. But when you're starting and you're trying to serve your clients, you're trying to run your business and communicate that business, you don't have 10 years like me to learn how to write well or what matters to your readers. You have to be quick. So you have to choose those elements that will make the biggest difference today.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes actually going back to who am I? Who do I want to communicate with? Who is my target audience? And what do they need to know to say yes? And then settle for clarity over cleverness.
Yes, I've heard that too. Yes, be very clear, don't be very clever. Don't confuse them, because confuse them, you lose them. So yes.
Yeah.
So what kind of mindset blocks when building a personal brand, and how can they overcome these things?
Okay, so there can be loads. So generally you can have mindset blocks related to the world outside you, to yourself. So things like I can't do something because other people won't let me do it, right? Or I can't do something because there's something fundamentally wrong with me. So it could be anything. People don't pay that much money for this sort of service. Or I don't know, I'm not good enough. I need another degree to actually charge that much. So money mindset is a big one with business, obviously, because if you're trying to do business, having a bad money mindset, and it could be something like, oh, you need to work really hard and basically hate your job. Or whatever that is, right? So it could be also often one that I'm coming across is I don't want to brag about myself.
That's one of the most I guess common things is you don't want to talk about yourself because you sound like you're bragging.
Yeah, but when you start thinking, but why do I even think that? Who told you? Because someone told you that you need to be modest. It's great, but people will know about you what you tell them. And also people aren't mind readers. So if they don't know what great job you've done unless you tell them. And then it's only about how you talk about your achievements or how you present your knowledge so that you don't feel like you are bragging. And I think the simplest exercises to overcome mindset blocks is ask yourself a simple question. What if this is not true, or something else is true. Write the opposite, alternative belief. Very often those are beliefs you might have heard from your parents, from friends. Money is a big one. Money is I find very, very big. I've been working on my money mindset for 2 years now, and I feel like I'm pretty out there. But I think the hardest thing with the mindset is also that you don't know sometimes that you have a mindset block. It's the last thing you realize. And that's sometimes by being surrounded with people who don't have that mindset block. So I would hear so many times my friends say, oh, why don't you charge less and have more clients? I was like, no, I'd rather have one client who actually wants to do the work. Because the difference is when with certain types of works, when it comes easily, you don't put the work. And the problem is that I can't fully create for someone personal brand. They have to do some work for themselves. It's in their head. These are their desires. And if they don't put the work, they're not going to see results.
No,
but
that's
when
very true. Very true.
Exactly. So the other great exercise, and that personally helped me, and I know it helped a lot of my clients, is do a simple research. So if you have this belief or mindset block that you identified, let's say nobody pays that much for this sort of service. You do and go and research people who do this service and earn 3 times that much. And very often just by doing the research and having a proof that actually it exists, the other way is possible, is enough to get you in a place where you go, okay, well, let's see, maybe it is different. And sometimes it's reading books. There are books good on mindset. The Mindset by Dr. Carol Dweck is a good one, but also there's plenty other books. And I think understanding the work on mindset doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, but mindset is actually 85% of our success, and skills are 15. So if you are freelancing, if you're providing service, it's key, because it's not enough to say, okay, so from tomorrow I will charge double, because you need to believe that you are worth that double. Because if you don't believe it, you're not going to convince someone else. And it comes with then going, how my expertise brings the substance to why I'm charging so much, how my results link to the fact that I can charge that much. And you need to do that homework, which I actually take my clients through. So they go through different steps, that they do things that they suddenly realize, oh, I've got that much expertise and I've got that much soft skills and I've done this and I can help my clients like that. And they suddenly go, oh, I know what to say. I know how I can help them. Sometimes they make a product better because they end up talking to the clients. And just speak to your clients, ask them.
Yeah, good points there, Ava. So what last words have you got before we go tonight?
Don't communicate your brand and your business and what you do based on tactics and volume only approach, because that can create some awareness, but it will very rarely create big opportunities. So what you want to always do is step back, and I call it internal clarity, but basically it's a principle of both communication and principle of personal branding. So start with yourself and go, what do I need? What is the outcome that I want? What are my non-negotiables, so that you can steer your career? And also when you're having conversations, you're negotiating, not demanding or accepting with fear. The second element, you need to learn your ideal client. So you need to know who you're communicating to, what are the pain points. I make my clients also learn the language they use, because very often you need to speak in the language that they use. They might describe the problem very differently than you with your industry knowledge. And so if you're going to speak the way you would talk in your industry, that won't land with them, because they might not be aware that that's the problem. They might think the issue lies somewhere else. And then you also need to know the market. So you need to know your competition, and you need to know how they position it yourself, because the first two elements help you communicate directly with your ideal clients. But without understanding the competition, you're missing one important element. How am I different? And so with that, you can give very clear message. You can talk always about things that matter to your audience. And through that, you can show your expertise, and it makes it so much easier for them to say yes to your services.
Ah, wonderful. All right. Where can they find you?
Obviously, they can find me on LinkedIn under Ewa Pietreniuk. And they can follow me. Last year when we went to lockdown, I started also Instagram, and I've been trying to put a little jump on there pretty much every day and put a little bit of training, some tips, so they can find me at U, spelled as letter U _and _Eve. I'm sure you will link to everything anyway.
I will do, yes. But yeah,
And,
just so people can
and
hear your
yeah,
lovely voice.
and they can find me as well on my website, and that's youandeves.com. And I actually have some free resources as well that are great if people want to start getting in control of the online presence, because you only have a good personal brand presence when you start to be in control of it.
Yep.
So that's
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time, and hopefully we can speak again at the end of, towards the end of the year.
Absolutely. Keep in touch, and definitely let's LinkedIn as well, so we connected. And thank you very much for having me. It was a lovely way to start the day, because for me it's bright and early in the morning.
Well, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.